English 112, Miss Brewer here for week 6. So this week, guys, you should be revising your literary analysis. So you already submitted your rough draft, and you should have gotten feedback from a peer editor, and you should have gotten feedback from NetTutor. At this point in time, you need to go ahead and do your revisions and submit your final draft no later than Thursday night. Feel free to submit it earlier than Thursday so you can go ahead and move on to this APA format lesson, which is what we're working on this week, and I'm going to go over in this video. In addition to submitting your literary analysis final draft in Microsoft Word by Thursday night, you need to submit your NetTutor feedback as a PDF. So NetTutor should have sent you or will send you a PDF with feedback on your paper, and you need to upload that where it says NetTutor feedback, and that is an easy A, so make sure you get that in there, and that's just so I can see that you did get an extra edit on the paper. And we're going to go ahead and move on to our next assignments. So we are finishing with MLA. MLA is over, and we're moving into APA, and we will live in APA formatting for documentation purposes for the remainder of the semester. And for your next 2 assignments, we will be in APA format for your page layout and format and style. For your final presentation, we'll move into business writing for style. But for now, we're gonna start with APA format. And so what I want you to do is make sure you have me to hear, and you can follow along on your computer and listen as I speak and go with me so you see things. So I'm going to go ahead and open up our American Psychological Association course lecture. And the American Psychological Association is what APA stands for, and this style of documentation and this style of format is used in fields like psychology and healthcare and education and scholarly type things. So unless you're doing communications or English or humanities of some sort, you're probably not going to use MLA. Most other types will use APA. So you might want to get comfortable with this style if that's somewhere you're going to go as you continue your education. So there are 2 basic components. We're looking at page design and research. So we are now using APA 7th edition, so be aware of that. And for the 7th edition of APA, there have been a couple of changes. So I've tried to update that in our course lectures. So for your page design for APA format, you will have a page number in the header, so flush right, just like an MLA page number, but you don't need to put your last name anymore, it's just a number. And then you will have bolded, so you're allowed to bold now, the title of your paper, centered about a third of the way down on the title page. Underneath of the title, you will include your name, the institution's name, the course name and number, and your instructor's name, and the date, okay? And you'll see that the date has changed. You don't have to do that weird day, month, year format. You can, but you don't have to like you did in MLA. So that's going to be your title page. So for all of your assignments that you turn in for APA style writing, you will be required to have a title page. That means you will need a title page for your annotated bibliography, and you will need a title page for your literature review. So that's what the title page looks like. And then when you get into then your next page depends on what your assignment is, okay, page 2. For research, you guys are going to be using APA format for your citations in reference sections, which we'll talk about. You no longer have a works cited page. You will now have a reference section, and that is where your full citations will go in APA format. APA format does look different than MLA format citation-wise. So with APA format, the year comes directly after the authors, so it's really easy for me to tell if your citation is APA or MLA format. So it just goes through and it tells you a couple of different formats. If you have a printed news article, an online news article, a book, article found in an online database, which is what we'll mostly be using for the next assignments. a page on a website, okay? So you guys have these kind of formats here listed in APA format. And then I also give you a link to the general format in APA at Purdue OWL. Just do make sure that you are utilizing the 7th edition for your formatting from here on out, okay? Some things that have changed in text for APA formatting. So when you are citing in text in APA format, if you have 3 or more authors, you will use et al. After the second author's name, just like in MLA. And that used to be different. In APA, you used to have to write 6 authors and then et al. Now it's the same as MLA, so 2 et al. Okay? Or so I'm sorry, 3 or more authors, and then you write the first author's name and et al. But on your references section, you list every name up to 20. So if you have more than 20 authors, then you can use an ellipsis after the 19th author listed. I doubt you guys will have that, but you may have like 4 or 5 and you have to write all of their names and make sure they're all there. So unlike MLA, you use et al. For APA in text, but you do not use et al. In the reference section. In the reference section, you actually list the authors that are there. So there's a little difference. So what we're going to be doing with APA format, if you will please click on your assignment details, you will see where we're going, okay? So you guys did an MLA literary analysis on poetry, and you found a theme that was tied to a social issue within 3 poems. And now what you're going to do is you're going to actually research a social issue. So instead of analyzing the literature for it, you're actually researching the issue itself, okay? So if I wrote about, you know, the oppression of people of color, and I looked at that theme, then I want to get a little bit more specific in how do I want to look at that oppression, okay? So do I want to look at what is systemic racism in a specific area, like systemic racism in the criminal justice system, or systemic racism in education, or something to that effect, then that's how specific I'm going to get for this social issue. Maybe I want to look at prison, the school to prison pipeline. Okay, that's a topic that you could talk about. Maybe I want to look at racial profiling from police departments or in airports or whatever. Okay, so you're going to choose a social issue. Your theme was a little bit larger. You're going to get very specific in the social issue that you're going to research. Okay. You will have to, at the end of the semester, tie your social issue that you're researching back to the literature from the beginning of the semester. So you'll have to be able to find like a poem that exemplifies your issue. And you're going to research that issue in the LRC database for scholarly articles. You will create an annotated bibliography, and you will write a literature review after your annotated bibliography, okay? And that's what you'll be doing in the APA format for style and documentation. And then your final assignment in your APA style category is you're going to create a presentation. We will use business style writing and APA documentation, and you guys are going to find a social justice organization or an organization of some sort that ties to your issue, okay? And I will get more in depth on that in a little bit, but just so you know kind of the trajectory of where we're going, okay? So what we're gonna start working on this week is picking a social issue, because you'll be using that for the remainder of the semester, and finding some sources for that social issue. And those sources will be the beginning of your annotated bibliography, which will be due next week, okay? So hopefully that makes sense. So I'm coming back into our week 6, and there's just some resources here for you, and we're going to talk about what is an annotated bibliography. So that's what we're going to talk about first. So just really quickly, you should know this already because you should have done one in English 111, but an annotated bibliography is how you compile and organize your research for a project. So what is the purpose of an annotated bibliography? To compile and organize research. That's important because it's on your final exam. So, and actually that's going to be your attendance assignment. So here's your attendance assignment. Your attendance assignment is to answer this question. What is the purpose of an annotated bibliography? What is the purpose of an annotated bibliography? And you can find that, I just said the answer, so you can rewind me, or you can find it in your annotated bib lecture. So you're going to be looking at the source and you're going to be looking at the summary. The source is just your citation in APA format. The summary is a brief annotation that talks about the source, okay? So your annotation should include 3 things: a summary in 1 to 2 sentences. What is this article about? Credibility, okay? How do we know it's credible? Does it use research, data, statistics, studies, whatever, okay? So credibility. And how will it be used for research, okay? So this article could be used to show statistics on school suspensions and prison terms, okay? I'm making that up, but you know, that kind of a thing. So for your annotated bibliography, it's pretty much the same as MLA in that you have your source, you have a hanging indentation, and then you have your annotation underneath that has those 3 things: summary, identification, credibility. But the difference is that you have a title page, which I just went over for APA format, and you need to write an abstract. So page 2, all by itself, is an abstract. And you should have a heading that says abstract and is bolded. And then underneath, the abstract just reviews what the thing is about, okay? So because you're gonna have all of your articles, the abstract should hit the major topics that those articles are about, okay? So for your annotated bibliography, which we're working on, you're gonna be doing next week, but you need to go ahead and get to work on finding your topic and finding your sources. And your annotated bibliography will be due next Thursday. So your annotated bibliography assignment requires you, where is it? Where's my annotated bibliography assignment? You will need to have 7 sources, okay? So you need to find 7 articles on your social issue, okay? And there's some question and answers here. So is the annotated bib the same sources you will be using for your literature review? Yes. Okay, so you're going to do this research now, and you're going to be using this research for the rest of the course. You're going to be using these 7 sources for the rest of the course. You do need a title page. You do need an abstract. And then your abstract, you're looking for kind of basic major ideas, okay? And there's not a specific number of sentences for your abstract, but it should be for your annotation, but your annotation should be 3 to 5 sentences long underneath each citation. Okay, what else do I want to go over? There is a student example here of an annotated bibliography, so please review that because you can see what an annotation looks like. All right, so you guys are going to be using the database, the LRC database, to research your social issue. All right, remember that it needs to be a specific social issue. It is not just racism, okay? Maybe you're looking specifically at racism in the education field. Maybe you're looking specifically at the lack of diversity in lawmaking places, but it's not a one-word topic. You got to get specific, okay? This week, you will need to submit to me by Sunday your social issue. So it should be a sentence, not a word, okay? What is the topic that you're going to do for the remainder of the semester? And I want 2 citations, 2 APA formatted citations of sources that you have found on that topic. And I want to know what poems address that issue. So you have questions here. What is a social issue? That's like a sentence. Then why did you select the issue? What poems relate to that issue that we read? And how is this still an issue in our society today? And then you need to include 2 APA formatted citations. It's okay if they're not a hanging indent, but include that. So you already have 2 sources for the annotated bib that will be due next week. Okay, so I went through a lot of information. So feel free to rewatch this and go back and take notes. But you guys are revising your lit analysis, and you are selecting a social issue and beginning the research and finding articles on that social issue. You can jump ahead and find all 7. You only have to give me 2 in your social issue selection. And your attendance assignment is you just need to answer the question, what is the purpose of an annotated bibliography? I will check in with you guys next week. Shoot me an email if you have questions. Have a great week.